Also, this week on the Definitely Loud podcast, I have the opportunity to interview Neil Zaza, who will be playing with Morgable at the Empty Glass in Charleston on Saturday, September 14th. Neil, go ahead and tell everybody who you are and what you do, man.
Okay. My name is Neil Zaza, and I'm a guitar player. I'm an instrumental guitar player. And the kind of music I do is obviously instrumental guitar, but there's a lot of melody in it. There's technique in it, and there's a lot of, flash. But basically, the kind of music I play is more song-structured, where, the listener can come away with hearing the melody and really kind of being moved by the song itself, not just necessarily the playing, but, the overall presentation of it. So.
Cool. And now I know that you've been stuck on the guitar at least since like age 10, and that's been really your main instrument, maybe even the only instrument. Can you tell me a little bit about what you like about the guitar, or what drew you to the instrument?
Well, for me, the guitar, it was always the coolest instrument. Like, the coolest guy in the band was always the guitar player. And, when I would hear like a band like Van Halen or Led Zeppelin or something like that, the guitar was just almost hypnotic to me. And, everyone has a moment, like some people have, they saw the Beatles on Ed Sullivan, but that was way before me. But for me, I remember driving in the back seat of one of my buddy's brother's cars, and we were just cruising around, and he put in Van Halen 1, and I hadn't heard it. It just came out. And I remember hearing the intro of Running with the Devil. That was that, and then that very first chord of Running with the Devil, when I heard that guitar tone, literally, and I'm not, exaggerating for this story, I knew at that very precise second that I was going to play guitar, and that's all I wanted to do with my life. It was like that much of a defining moment for me. So Van Halen 1 really injected me with the rock, and it's crazy, just the tone and the attitude and it was a moment. So and everyone has it. That was mine.
Yeah. Now I know that you've recorded in a lot of studios and done a lot of albums, and are even the producer on a lot of your own solo albums. How does your studio work compare to playing live, and do you prefer one over the other?
Oh, that's a great question. Equal times, I hate both and I love both at the same time. It's a love-hate relationship, or a bittersweet relationship, in that, like, I've been in the studio over the summer and over the course of the year, and you get antsy, like, this is great, and it's nice to aim for perfectionism, and you're very minute detailed in what you're doing, and you're in a creative space, and that's great. But then that runs dry, and you're like, you know what? I just want to go on stage. I want to get in front of some people, and I want to turn my amp up really loud and just play. So I think it's a chemistry where you have to have both sides to it. To only play live and not be able to go in and create new material to come out and play live, I think that would be half the experience. And to only create and not go play it live, I think that would only be half the experience. So it's really... It's a hand-in-hand thing.
Of course, and I know that you've played with a lot of really talented and well-known people in your solo work and in the studio. Do you have any most memorable moments with any of these people that you've admired so much?
Yeah, great question. I've had some great opportunities. Like 2 records ago, when Gravity Fails, I had Michael Anthony from Van Halen playing bass on it. And, well, as you might imagine, being such a Van Halen freak, and the reason I play guitar is because of them, to have him agree to be in the studio with me and record on something, it was obviously a dream come true. So I tried not to be so much of a fanboy, and I did a really good job. Like, I just kind of put that 14-year-old mentality in the back of my mind, and, got together, flew out to L.A., and had dinner and hung out, and we went in the studio and we're playing and recording, and it was great, and it was just a very pure sort of thing. But there was one moment when we were playing live in the studio, and I was playing, we were jamming back and forth, and I played this riff, and he's like, yeah, like, showing some enthusiasm. And for a split second, it was like a crazy circle, because I was like, the reason I'm playing this riff is because I stole it off of probably one of your records, and but you're digging what I'm doing because I stole it from your guy Eddie, and then like it was like a big vortex for a quick second, and that was actually really cool. Or a time I did on that same record we had Jordan Rudess from Dream Theater play keyboards, and I'll never forget, you know, just what a phenomenal musician he is. He came in and just laid a few solos for me, and you know he would play a perfect solo, and then. You know, what did you think, Neil? Well, it was great. Would do another? Sure. Another perfect solo. So I was just inspired by some of these guys. Steve Smith from Vital Information or Journey. He did a few records for me. And again, you know, when you deal with these kind of musicians, it's inspiring and it's humbling, and it really, I just feel very privileged to be there.
Oh gosh, yeah. I mean, I can really imagine. Like, it must be hard not to even just totally nerd out and freak them out as far as just being a fan and getting to spend some time with them.
Oh, absolutely. Like when we did some of the records, we did them at Steve's personal studio. So, and the bass player we used was Ross Valerie from Journey. So I had the rhythm section from Journey, and we're jamming. And you can't believe how hard it was not to play, like, Don't Stop Believing or, some Journey tune or something, because, like, these are the guys, this is the band, but I just couldn't do it. But, yeah, there's, ask different stories about, band stuff or whatever. So, you try to be professional and removed, but, I think deep down inside, no matter who you're working with, there's always a little boy fan in there of, you have to be a fan of the music to do it in the first place, know?
Yeah, of course. And are there any new artists, especially guitarists, that you're excited about? Maybe somebody that a lot of our listeners might not know about?
I wouldn't say not know about, but like some of the guys I really groove to, I still love Steve Lukather. I think he's just an amazing guitar player. Or Andy Timmons, I think he's great. I have to say, I really gravitate towards some of my older influences still when I hear them play. So someone like Neil Sean or Journey is my number one guy. Eddie Van Halen, a big Michael Schenker fan from the UFO days, or Brian May from Queen. So, a lot of the solos these days are, getting cut out of songs and this and that. So I really have to say I go back more toward the classic stuff now.
Okay, well, yeah, that makes a lot of sense, and I'm sure that you want to kind of distance yourself from any kind of trends or anything like that are going on these days, especially while writing music.
Well, too, you bring up a good point where people ask, what do I listen to? And I really don't listen to a lot of music because, that's what I do. So sometimes I'd rather drive in the car and hear nothing or, something backgroundish than something I have to concentrate on. It almost gives me a headache or something like that. But, also talking about another guitar player, I think he gets a lot of slack for being like a TMZ poster boy. But, I got to get John Mayer's a pretty all-around great guitar player, believe it or not. I really think he's got something going on there too. So
cool. And something that I like to ask a lot of the people that I know that have played around the world. I know that you've played in a lot of different countries, and how would you compare a U.S. audience to some of the audiences in other countries that you've played for?
Well, the best crowd is Charleston, West Virginia.
Right.
You know that, right?
Of course.
And I think the best crowds are over in Asia. They're very open and accepting, and there's no wall between them. And that, a lot of times, you go to a show in the States and people are maybe stoic or standoffish, and I'm not applauding, and they're too cool or whatever. Whereas overseas, it's sometimes it's like riot proportions. Like when I'll play Indonesia, it's insane. Like police come up. One time I was playing in I think it was Jakarta, and the police came on stage and said, "Please do not rile the crowd up anymore. There's going to be a riot." So they're just crazier. somehow they feel it. I don't know if they feel it more per se, but they definitely react greater, exponentially than American audiences. And American audiences are great, and there's pockets where people really are appreciative of everything, but I think it's a cultural thing where we're at.
Oh, definitely. And, sometimes I feel like maybe American audiences have just a little bit too much stimulation. I mean, we've got entertainment at our fingertips and, basically being pushed into our faces, 100% of the time. So I can see that.
Well, yeah, I think that's really true. Especially, you'll see sometimes, well, this is anywhere, but in the States, you're playing, you're bleeding on stage, and, like, people are texting, and like they're there, but they're not there. Where like a lot of times overseas, they're into the event, they're into the experience of it. So again, one's not right or wrong. It's just where culture is in different parts of the world. So that's okay.
Yeah. And now, do you have any shows that have stood out? Maybe as the best show or the best gig that you've ever played?
Nothing stands out as like the best show. I remember certain shows for different things, and I'm not just saying this because I'm coming back there, but I remember honestly doing a show at the Empty Glass. I don't know, 10 years ago or something like that. I was with Bobby Rock and Bill the Buddha Dickens. And I remember that show at that club. That night there was a real vibe. The people were really tuned in. There was just a real, like, organic chemistry going on in the whole room. And I just remember that venue and that night a lot. And I don't know why, and I'm not just saying that because obviously I'm coming back, but that happens to be one of the shows I do remember,
Oh, that's awesome. That is really awesome. Now, as with most bands, you got good days and bad days, man. I know how that goes. And something I always like to ask anybody that I interview, do you have any of those shows that maybe you just wish that you had avoided?
Oh, yeah. Sometimes you walk out on stage, you just never know how it's going to be. How's the crowd? Are you going to play good? So you hope you don't get a lot of those gigs, but they do happen where you're like, can we play this song double fast and get off stage right now and get back on the bus and go home? Those are few and far between. They're very rare, but they do happen for sure.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Now, can you tell us a little bit about your band and who you'll have on stage with you at the Empty Glass?
I'm really, really excited about this band that we're going to bring into the Empty Glass. On drums, Aurel from Morgable. He's such an amazing drummer. And the interesting thing is we've never played together before. Obviously, Morgable and I are on this tour together, co-headlining tour. And when I was thinking about who I'm going to bring on the road for drums, it just worked out perfect, and he said he would do it. So I'm so happy. So I think by the time we get to West Virginia, all the set stuff settled down by that time, and we're going to really be grooving hard. He's a great drummer, and I'm honored to play with him. And on bass, I got my boy, Sean O'Brien Smith. This will be our second run together, and he's a great bass player out of Nashville. I mean, this guy, he can feel the paint off a wall with his bass. So I think it's really going to be a fantastic night. And then, of course, I know you're familiar with Morgable and, like, how insane and freaky and entertaining and cool and talented they are. So this is going to be an amazing tour. I can't wait to get to the first night of it.
Oh, yeah, and I'm sure there's a lot of people that are very excited about this tour and especially about this show at the Empty Glass around here in Charleston. Well, one last thing, Neil, I'd like to ask you, for anybody that's never heard you before, never seen a show before, what would you have somebody expect at a Neil Zaza show?
I think they should expect some pretty good guitar playing, some great songs, and just like a celebration of music, I would say. Not to be too general and broad with that, but just I think you don't have to be a guitar player to enjoy the show. If you enjoy music, if you enjoy rock music, if you enjoy classical music, I think there's an element in there for you So you don't have to be a guitar player to be out to the show. In fact, I'd recommend many non-guitar players coming out to the show and enjoying it. I think it would be a great experience for anyone. And I look forward to seeing everyone next Saturday the 14th at the Empty Glass. And I can't wait to get back there.
Great, man. Well, we can't wait to have you back in Charleston, and I can't thank you enough for being on the show.
Thank you so much, and please keep in contact with me, too. I appreciate it.
Oh, yeah, for sure, definitely, man. And thank you for being on the Definitely Loud podcast. It has been an honor to have such a talented person on the show.
Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate it, bro. Seriously.
Oh, no, man. The pleasure is all ours. Trust me. Everybody, make sure that you go out to the Empty Glass Saturday, September 14th. Check out these two incredible bands, Neil Zaza and Morgable. They're both going to tear the place up. Neil has personally promised us he's going to give us a good show, so we're going to hold him to it. We'll see you later, Neil.
You got it, brother. All right, I'll see you then. Thanks.